You're tuned into News Across the Galaxy, where they talk all things LA Galaxy with the Nag Boys. Let's start nagging.
It's Thursday. It's the first day of summer. The Euros are into the second round of the first round matchups. Copa America just got underway, and the LA Galaxy and Real Salt Lake are getting ready for another MLS encounter this Saturday in Utah. What's up, everyone? It's me, Edgar. I'm here at NAGn Studio East. I'm being joined by Chewy on the ones and twos. But to help us break down the upcoming matchup and to also catch up of all things Real Salt Lake, we have a special guest and friend of the show, Alex Napoles of the RSL show on KSL. Hey, Alex, it's nice to see you again, buddy.
Good to be here. Always a good time to come on and talk some RSL with you guys. So thanks for the invite again. And yeah, happy to be here.
Man, what a season it's been for both of our clubs. LA Galaxy, they just got a huge victory over visiting New York City FC. While Real Salt Lake, you guys have been on fire all season long. The last time our two clubs faced each other, uh, Miguel Berry pulled off a miracle goal. Remember, Berry? At the death to give Galaxy a draw. Now we're getting ready for another tense matchup, but the setting will be America First Field. What takeaways did you have from that first encounter between LRSL and Galaxy? Because it looked like Galaxy was dead in the water, and then boom, comeback.
I think you during our preview, you mentioned that there was, I think Joveljic was questionable heading into the game, and then you were talking about Miguel Berry, about how he hasn't really done much since arriving to the Galaxy, and I knew it. I knew the second he subbed in, I was like, oh, Miguel Berry's going to score. And sure enough, with 30 seconds left, Miguel Berry scores. And it was frustrating because, if memory serves me right, the RSL was up 2-0 at the break, and then the Galaxy came back in the second half, especially with that late equalizer from Barry. So it was frustrating considering that it seemed like Real Salt Lake probably should have had 3 points on the road, but just couldn't get the job done.
Yeah, that was interesting because a lot of people have been questioning Miguel Berry all season long. Beginning at first, people were hopeful, maybe he can pull off a few minutes in substitution in case something happens to Dayon. We could just put him in there. He's a big dude. We could find him in a set piece, maybe in a scrum, he'll get to the ball. But time and time again, he just showed people signs of, yeah, he's not the guy. In fact, we want somebody else to come in as a sub. Now, keep in mind that last season we had Billy Sharp coming off the bench, and he would even get a few starts. And Billy Sharp, all-time scorer in a championship in England, and the guy came in, had an immediate impact, and all of a sudden he's gone. Right? We don't know exactly why the club let him go. He's just not there anymore. And then you put in somebody like a Miguel Berry in there, and well, expectations have been tempered to say the least. And so whenever he comes in, people are like, "Oh God, please!" It's Miguel Berry, right? It's gotten to the point where I hate to say it's almost like a dirty word. People's like, "Don't put that that hate on out there. Don't put that energy out there." Miguel Berry's coming in, but then he comes in and he scores, right? He scored against RSL, and he scored last night against NYCFC. So when you least expect it, Miguel Berry will score. Now, here's a funny story for you. In that game against RSL, apparently there was a fan behind the Galaxy bench who was just riding him all night long, just talking crap to him and just trying to get under his skin. And it got, Miguel Berry got really upset. Well, he went in, he scores a goal, and I don't know if you go back and watch the replay, he starts running towards the Galaxy bench because he was yelling at the guy in the stands, and his teammates had to restrain him. I think he was about to jump into the stands.
So basically, he went on and scored because of that guy. So
There you go.
if anything, we should be praising that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, thanks. Like I said, thanks again for joining us. Let's look real quick at this matchup that's coming up. Oh, shit! Before we get to that, I want to say a very special welcome to the NHL family to Salt Lake City. Unless you guys haven't heard, the Arizona Coyotes, boo! They moved from Arizona, Phoenix, Glendale, wherever the heck they were. They moved to Utah to Salt Lake City. Um, my wife and I were out there, I want to say 2017 for her best friend's wedding. And we stayed at this hotel that was pretty much across, the way from that arena where I forgot what your minor league team is called, the something Bears, right? Well,
The Grizzlies, yes.
the
Yep.
Grizzlies. So we were staying across from there from that arena, and I remember that arena was used in the Olympics when they came to Salt Lake City. And I remember telling my wife, I don't see why Utah doesn't have a professional hockey team. They have the arena. Obviously it snows here in the winter. It'd be a great setting for hockey. And it took several years, but hey, you guys got your team. What's how's the reaction been in the city? Because I've seen loads of people at the stadium celebrating.
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody's honestly super excited for NHL to come to Salt Lake City. They are the next major sports team to come to Salt Lake and join Salt Lake, and so everybody's super stoked for that. Um, and yeah, it's a interesting situation, right? Because it's the relocation. You're right. You don't really necessarily have to build a team from scratch, but I know plenty of people who don't really know anything about hockey, like myself, who's now learning hockey and like getting into hockey and starting to follow hockey. I watched pretty much the entire Stanley Cup series still going on. I think right, and so
Yeah.
I've been watching those games and hockey's exciting. I'll say that.
Man, Stanley Cup playoffs, there's nothing like it. I love me some soccer, I love me some footy, right? And I love NBA and I love all these wonderful sports, right? But there's something different about the Stanley Cup playoffs that even athletes in other sports will watch it and they'll be in awe because it's very intense. There's no timeouts. I mean, there is, but you only get one timeout a game. So like the action never ends. Like when it says there's 2 minutes left in the game, you better get ready because there's 2 minutes left in the game and the players are going to try their asses off to play it out. But yeah, hockey is an amazing sport. It's so much fun. So it'll be great to see Salt Lake join the NHL family. You guys are going to be in the same division as us, Pacific Division. So we're going to see you're going to see the LA Kings come up there. Kings fans are very passionate. I would not be shocked if Kings fans, come over and into the stadium. You're going to see them running around the city. So good luck to you guys. By the way, I saw that the team is having a naming poll. They got some weird names like the Yeti, the Grizzlies, the Wanderers, and
The
then the Utah Hockey Club. It's like, do you have a preference?
I think personally, I really like the Yetis, but I would be honestly okay with Outlaws. Outlaws sounds fine to me too, but those are probably my top two, and I think those are the ones that I've voted for so far.
That's right, it's the Outlaws, not the Wanderers. I'm thinking of somebody else. I don't know. I'm sorry. Well, let's look forward to our game. Before diving in, real quick, let's go over the availability report. I looked at LA Galaxy real quick. A lot of people over here already know. Ricky Puig still out. Although there has been some word that he will be available on Saturday. Um, Still no solid word on that. I'm pretty sure by tomorrow we will know for sure. Gaston Brugman is out. Apparently, his knee injury is serious enough that he'll be out for an extended period of time. Johnny Perez is still dealing with a hamstring injury that he picked up in the game on Saturday. So those are three people to look at. Now, as far as our cell is concerned, I took a look at your injury report. My goodness. Do you want to list off the players? Or do you want me to do it for you?
You go ahead. You go ahead, and
Because
I'll
let's see. Out, Kevin Bonilla says knee.
yes.
Justin
Yep.
Glad, ankle. Eric Holt, hamstring. Pablo Ruiz, knee. Marcelo Silva, hamstring. And then Kevin Lambert out at international duty. What's going on?
A lot of injuries, and I think it's more. I think it's more concerning the fact that those injuries happen to be at the defensive position, specifically the center backs. We've already kind of known that our center back Marcelo Silva, midfielder Pablo Ruiz, and defender Kevin Bonilla were going to be out for the season. So we've kind of already not been counting on them. But losing a guy like Justin Glad, it's difficult, and I think it really showed against Sporting Kansas, where there was a lot of defensive errors. He's been an anchor in the back all season long. Him and Brian Vera have a tremendous partnership, but when one of them are missing, when one of the two are out, it's noticeable on the field. And heading into this game on Saturday, Brian Vera got a yellow card against Sporting Kansas City, which means he'll be missing this one
Oof.
too with yellow card accumulation. And so now we're just kind of hoping and praying that Justin Glad will be ready for Saturday, because we have a very, very thin center back room right now.
Oof. Yeah, over here, um, a lot of people were initially very concerned when Ricky Puig, after the 2 week break, it turned out he had injured his groin, and so people were very worried about the team because right before the break, the 2 week break, Galaxy lost a very disappointing matchup in Chicago. Everybody expected the team to win. Chicago was having a pretty rough season. And lo and behold, Chicago beat the Galaxy, right? 2-1. A lot of people pointed to Ricky Puig as far as criticism because they felt that he just had a bad game, and because so much of the ball comes through him and so much control of the game comes through him that affected the result. Then it turns out he's injured, and so like I said, there was a lot of concern going into this next slate of matches, and it turns out that the team has been playing with a lot more flow. They're more dynamic. The ball's moving around more. Players like Gabriel Peck are playing like they're unfettered. They don't feel shackled to do things a certain way, and we've seen a lot more mobility from them. And what we've seen is this really what Greg Vanny ball is? And I pointed this out a few weeks ago. I was like, maybe the team will play better without Ricky Puig in there. A lot of people are like, "How dare you say that? How dare you, bring that up?" Ricky's the man, and yeah, Ricky's talented. He's got a tremendous skill set. But like I keep telling people, I feel like we're watching him like go through some growing pains. He's going through some evolution. He's a young guy. He's not a polished product yet. And so when you're going through that process, you can have some frustrating steps along the way where you're going to see somebody fail before they finally succeed. So that's from our point of view. I'm sure from the outsider's point of view, right? You look at the highlights and you're like, damn, this guy is amazing, right? Because you only see the highlights, right? There's a lot of trial and error with Ricky Puig. So he'll send like 10 passes, right? And maybe two of them will connect. And those two passes are amazing because he attempts these amazing long passes and he tries to thread the needle. And when it happens, it looks fantastic. But then you don't see when there's a turnover. You don't see when he misses the guy and the ball goes out of bounds. You don't see when he commits like defensive error, things like that. And some of those have led to goals for the other team. Now, with him out, we've been watching LA Galaxy play a more fluid style of football where everybody gets involved, everybody moves the ball around, and they've been using the wings a lot more. And so what we're seeing is like it almost seems like they're playing with more fun. I mean, I don't want stir the pot too much, but you see this and you're like you can't ignore it. So now the question is, if this is the case, can Ricky Puig come in and commit to playing along with his teammates in this style of play, or is he going to continue asking for the ball and trying to play hero and dictate the pace of the match? That is a question that we might see answered on Saturday because, like I said, although he's been dealing with that groin injury, the rumor today was yeah, he'll probably be back. Whether he comes in as a starter or he gets see some minutes in the second half, we don't know. But yeah, that is the case. From your point of view, Alex, how do you see Ricky Puig, and have you seen any of the criticism that I've been mentioning?
Not the criticism. And I think from our perspective over here in Salt Lake, we just recorded our show earlier today, and we were talking about how we were kind of hoping that Ricky Pooch doesn't travel to Salt Lake, because he's the type of player who demands the ball, who's going to want the ball, who's going to want to create. That's the type of player that he looks like to us. That's the type of player that we obviously don't want to see on the pitch, considering we don't really have our center backs coming into this one. So my looking at the exclusion of Ricky Puch from our perspective, it could work in Real Salt Lake's favor.
Well, he's not there, and the team is playing better without him. So how does that make you feel?
That doesn't make me feel good.
So what they'll get you one way or another. But what can you tell me about RSL? Because um, when the two teams faced each other off earlier this season, obviously at that point we had noticed that this RSL is not a fluke. RSL is a good team, and they're going to be here for the long haul. And what has had transpired since then, and how has RSL maintained that hold on first? Because you look right below them, LAFC is making a push already, and this is before Giroud even comes in, right? And LA Galaxy has been doing enough to hang in there as well. So, what has RSL been doing that's been good, and what's something where the team needs improvement?
Improvement for sure has to come from the defensive end of the ball. We played a Sporting Kansas on Wednesday, who statistically throughout the season have not been good at scoring, have not been good on the attack, and we let them score 3. So I think obviously injuries, obviously the absence of Justin Glad, I think affects that a lot. So we got to clean up defensively for sure, because there was moments where Sporting Kansas had some good opportunities, and RSL did well enough to stop those opportunities. But when you look at a team like the Galaxy, who has a lot more firepower and a lot better attack than a Kansas, they're going to punish you for those defensive mistakes that you make against, like you made against Kansas. So I think defensively it needs to be cleaned up ASAP. And then it's in the attack. I think that right now this is probably the best Real Salt Lake attack that I've ever seen in my many years of supporting. You can go from Chicho Arango, you can go from Andres Gomez, you can go from Diego Luna, you can go to Anderson Julio. You're going to get goals. You're going to get good attacking play from those guys. And right now, that Real Salt Lake attack can hit you from anywhere on the pitch, can hit you from anywhere on the field. So as long as you can continue to score at the rate that you are scoring, you'll be all right on the offensive end. But you got to clean up the defense for sure.
Yeah, here in LA Galaxy, one of the things that affected the team a lot at the start of the season was giving up a lot of goals and set pieces. They've kind of worked on that. They've gotten better in that respect, but here and there, yeah, it still happens. But the team has been working really hard to try to figure out how to improve that defense, and we saw some result of that against against the Pigeons, right? NYCFC, where they actually got a clean sheet. It's been a while since Galaxy got a clean sheet, so that it shows it's a testament to how much they've been working at it. Because going into that match, I said this is a big test, right? NYCFC is one of the stronger teams in the East Coast. They have they have only lost 3 games, I think, in the last 3 months, including the one against Galaxy. So that shows the level of player there. And then from there, LA Galaxy goes from Kansas City, New York City, and now you have to go up to Salt Lake City. A lot of cities, right? And play at altitude. So this is another big test for Galaxy. Um, Before we get into the match, though, I want to ask you, what are your expectations for the second half of the season for RSL? Do you see RSL continuing to play at the same level, or do you think the fact that you have these injuries in the center back are going to affect you guys as the summer wears on?
Depth will definitely affect us for sure. And I think, look, right now this is a Real Salt Lake team who's coming into this game 15 straight unbeaten, and I'm a big believer in unbeaten runs can't last forever. It's going to be incredibly difficult to maintain the form and the run that Real Salt Lake is in at this moment. But as long as you are riding it hot, you ride it hot and you take it as far as you can, especially because you have both LA teams creeping up behind you on the table. So stay playing basically the way that you are. Like I said, on the offensive end, continue to play direct, play quick, play possession, and offensively will be all right. But you got to clean up the defense because that unbeaten streak is going to come to an end if Real Lake can't get the depth of the defense up to par with the rest of our defenders who are absent.
Speaking of streaks, you're talking about RSL streak. There's a streak over here that a lot of people think it's a curse, and that is that since joining LA Galaxy, Greg Fanny has yet to win 3 games in a row with the club. So they beat Sporting KC, they beat NYCFC, and now they got RSL, right? So, ooh, I know some people have made jokes about it. There's even like a kind of like a running meme among in the Galaxy community as far and the supporters, where some people are saying, you know what, the moment that Greg Vandy gets that third win, we're gonna unleash a bunch of memes about it, and like they're gonna flood him with questions in the press conference because is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? A lot of people are saying, nah, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Especially, you got RSL for that third game. After a week of playing, you have to go up and play in altitude. Nah, but you never know. MLS is a funny thing, especially when you throw in those midweek games. It just kind of stirs the pot all over the place, and we've seen some really strange results, which is one of the reasons why this league is so entertaining, right? Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. Um, Now, with the game being up in Salt Lake City and Sandy, Utah, specifically, pretty sure there's going to be some traveling supporters. I know initially I was hoping to travel up there, it just didn't come to fruition. But for any traveling supporters, Alex, what recommendations do you have for as far as places to hang out, places to eat, places to go and visit, touristy things that they can do? Because Utah is a beautiful state. I know I really enjoyed going to Salt Lake City. It's even funny. I mean, before you jump in, I like my wife and I were there for several days, and it's funny if you have the time, you could drive up to Idaho or to Wyoming, and we drove up to Wyoming, and it was really nice. But yeah, it's a beautiful part of the country. What recommendations do you have for traveling supporters?
I mean, if you come to Utah, you have to hit the trails. You have to go up hiking into the mountains. You have to go see the mountains because they are absolutely beautiful. Go up the canyon. Go up little Cottonwood Canyon. Go up Big Cottonwood Canyon. Go up Bell's Canyon. Go catch a good hike before the game. If you're outdoorsy, you'll absolutely love it. Near the stadium, there's not really much. It's in a very suburban area, so you gotta drive a bit away to get to those hikes. But those, obviously, if you're coming to Utah, you gotta hit the mountains.
What about places to eat? Are there any recommendations? You said earlier there's a place called Mom's Kitchen that they said it's an amazing place to eat,
that
but
one's that one's a little bit more private. But if you do want to hit up some places, go. Edgar recommended Red Iguana. Haven't been there myself, but he says it's killer. Go to Red
yes.
Iguana. If you are looking for, oh man, I can't even think of like any crazy places off the top of my head right now. If you're looking for barbecue, go to like R&R Barbecue or Dickie's. They got good barbecue. You want some sushi, some Chinese. You got to hit up Ichiban. That place is phenomenal. Yeah, those are my recommendations there.
What about on game day? What are some recommendations you have for traveling supporters? Uh, are RSL supporters approachable? Can you go mingle with them like before a game, or are they going to be like back off, man? Um, is there a place for support where traveling supporters can hang out before they enter the stadium?
There usually is a spot, I want to say in the northeast parking lot in front of the stadium. There's like a building, like a warehouse building right next to the stadium, and in that parking lot they actually have like a designated spot for traveling supporters to set up, whatever kind of tailgate they want, whatever kind of thing they want. So if you're looking for Galaxy specific supporters, go there. I don't recommend going to the RSL tailgate lot because I don't know how nice they'll be. But if you are looking to get your tailgate on before the game, hit up the warehouse parking lot on the northeast side of the stadium, and you might find some Galaxy fans there.
You hear that, people? Make sure you wear all your Laker gear and go in there right into that area and start yelling, "Let's go Lakers!" See what happens.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks, man. Let's look at the all-time stats between these two teams because they're almost even. LA Galaxy and RSL have played each other 50 times in the regular season. LA Galaxy have 20 wins, RSL has 17, and there's 13 draws between both teams. Uh, Interestingly enough, as dominant as RSL has been this season, and when you think back, you always wonder, wow, LA Galaxy has always had a hard time playing up in Sandy. But then you look at the last few encounters between these teams, and RSL hasn't beaten the Galaxy that much. The last time Real Salt Lake beat Galaxy, it was a 1-0 win up in Sandy. That was on April 30th, 2022. Since then, Galaxy and RSL have drawn three times. There was that win, that 3-2 win that was in June 1st of last season. But the last two times the two teams have played each other, it's been 2-2 draws. So, what's going to happen on Saturday? It's a big question because both teams come in at a crucial moment in the season where, like we said, LAFC is seems like they're chugging along pretty good. And this is before Giroud even gets there, so there's a sense of urgency to try to create some kind of momentum or create some kind of space so you prepare yourselves for when these guys really get going. Um, Let me see here. So those are the all-time stats. Real quick, I always look up the referee stats for these games, and I shared them with you earlier today. Um, we have a legendary MLS ref that's going to be dealing with this game, and I'm sure a lot of Galaxy fans are familiar with this guy. Jair Marufo has been assigned as the head referee for this match. This guy's been around since 2002. Marufo has, in my opinion, always been like a polarizing figure in MLS. I know a lot of friends too that see he's gonna be the guy that's refing the game, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's it! You know, it's horrible. We're gonna lose." Interestingly enough, he's refereed 301 regular season matches, and 54 of those have been Galaxy, more than any other team. I think the closest one was Seattle, was 46, and overall, when he referees, Galaxy have 26 wins, 13 draws, 15 losses. And on the road, Galaxy has 7 wins, 6 draws, and 12 losses. Now, I also looked up what he's done for RSL, Alex. He's done 30 RSL matches for 9 wins, 12 draws, 9 losses overall. And at home, RSL has 8 wins, 5 draws, and 2 losses. Marufo, in case anybody isn't familiar with him, he's also refereed at the World Cup and Club World Cup level. In fact, he refereed one of the Club World Cup finals. He doesn't hand up many yellow cards, but it doesn't take very much to get him going because once you get under his skin, he hands those things out like Halloween candy. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Uh, does that give you some sort of confidence there, Alex, knowing that Marufo is going to be refing this game, and he's Galaxy doesn't win much with him on the road?
I don't know. Anytime I hear Marufa's name, I don't know why it just makes me nervous. It makes me nervous.
It
But
probably gets
I
everyone.
do like that he's only ref 2 home losses for Real Salt Lake. So I guess that's a positive there. But Marufa's name scares me.
Okay. Well, looking into this game, let's get real quick into predictions. What are some expectations you have for this game, and what is something that LA Galaxy fans should look for as far as RSL? You mentioned some names already. Obviously, we're all familiar with Diego Luna, and but what can you tell LA Galaxy fans to look out for in this game? And number one, and number two, what will it take for LA Galaxy to break down RSL? And then lastly, your prediction for the game.
You have to look out for Chicho Arango. Obviously,
Hmm.
he's going to be the biggest name, and he seems to be just the type of person, the type of player that feeds off the energy of the fans in this stadium. We're already expecting a sold out crowd. Club announced it today that it will most likely be a sellout. So you got to look at Chicharrango to get energized in front of that home crowd. You got to look at Andres Gomez, who right now is on an absolute tear, 10 goals so far this season. It might be the first time in a while that Real Salt Lake have had two multi double digit scorers in the season. So fantastic to see that and to see the progression of Andres Gomez. So those are the two guys you got to look out for. What was the second question? Breaking down Gal.
Yeah. What do you think LA Galaxy can do to break down RSL and maybe get a W?
You got to look at those center backs. I have no idea what the plan is right now for who to start at center back. I don't know what the plan is to look at the center to who's going to start, right? And so I think we're most likely going to be playing some of our wing backs, guys who are a little bit more inexperienced at the center back position. So I think center back is probably where you're going to want to go hit this. Not having our two top center backs and having that position so deep at the moment, I think that right now will be the biggest weakness, but they're supported really well by the midfield. So I think it's going to come down to the midfield providing that same support that they've provided all season, and that can hopefully slow down that Galaxy attack. My prediction for this one, I like our chances at home. We haven't I haven't felt the stadium or heard the stadium be as energetic as it has been over the course of the last couple of home games than I have, over the last 2 years. I love this new energy that we found at America First Fields. It feels like a fortress once again. I'm going 2-1 RSL in this one.
Oh, you're gonna break Benny's heart, man. Well, so you mentioned that you guys are having all these issues at center back. So does that mean that you guys are more susceptible on crosses and on set pieces? Then would you say?
it's more of a it's more of just allowing too much space for the attackers to create. I wouldn't. So far, we haven't really. They had some good defensive plays on set pieces against Sporting Kansas on Wednesday, so I'm not too worried about maybe the set piece plays, but I am worried about just allowing too much space, not getting, you know, not not getting not having the experience to make sure that you stay between the attacker and the goal and make sure that the play stays in front of you, right? Because we saw that a little bit against Sporting Kansas City on Wednesday with guys who just don't have as much experience playing that role. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the center back situation.
Yeah, as far as LA Galaxy is concerned, a lot of people are obviously familiar with our club in house, right? If LA Galaxy is able to score early or get a goal in the first half, I feel like their chances improve a lot because whenever they give up goals, um, especially on the road, they have a difficult time trying to battle back. We saw it in Austin, and we saw it in Chicago. Obviously, those are two of the three losses the team has suffered. Also, we saw that against LAFC, right? So in those three losses, Galaxy gave up early goals. They've been able to come back. Obviously, they came back against RSL, but that was at home. Um, and it's really important. I think it's really important for LA Galaxy to come out there and hit the ground running. I know it's difficult to do, especially people forget when people think of high altitude, they think of Denver, the Mile High City. A lot of people aren't aware that Salt Lake City also is in the Rockies, right? And you're up at altitude there, and if you run around long enough, you start to feel it. And so there has been some concern during this week that you go from playing against Kansas City, New York City, you're here in LA, and all of a sudden, at the end of this 3 game stretch, you have to go up into Salt Lake City. And how's that going to affect the players? You're obviously going to be tired after a week of playing 3 high intensity matches. So that obviously will play a factor in the game. Um, should a lot of people are wondering, should they start trying to rest players, especially because you got the Cali Clasico coming up soon, and then you also have the match against LAFC and El Tráfico at the Rose Bowl. I think it's still those two matches are still a week or 2 weeks away. It's not going to affect the players too much, but this is an opportunity to go out there and play hard. Make sure nobody gets injured. Obviously, are we going to see Ricky Puig? I don't know. Will he start? That's a very good question. I think whether he starts or not will dictate how the team approaches RSL. I really, I don't want to go against all the Ricky fans, but I really would love to see the team start without him, have him on the bench, and see how this new Galaxy dynamic, you know, flow that they have, and see that how RSO is able to handle that, because LA Galaxy has been able to exploit going attacking center backs. And you say RSO doesn't have center backs. We have these wingers now. Joseph Paintsel is fully back now from injury. Gabriel Peck is playing better than he has all season. And Dejan Joveljic is just standing around waiting for the pass so he can just tap it in. So these are all things that have really helped the team. Diego Fagundes has been amazing. Whenever he starts, uh, Galaxy hasn't lost. 5 wins, 5 draws, no losses. So if he starts, hey, you better get ready, Alex. Also, Edwin Cerrillo has been playing lights out. He's an amazing player we got from FC Dallas. FC Dallas is probably still kicking themselves for having let him go. And then our center backs have been playing better. Jalen Neal's back in good form now. Maya Yoshida. Some weeks he's good, some weeks he's off. We'll see. He giveth and he taketh. Same with Miki Yamane, one of our wingbacks, Julian Aude. These are all young players that on any given day can have a big impact on the game. Overall, I think LA Galaxy does have a good shot at beating RSL. Uh, if we see Ricky Puig come in the second half, that might be just enough for him to go in there and change the pace and see and throw something different at RSL, and maybe give RSL some pause, because then RSL will have to try to change things on the fly. And this is why I think it's important to bring him in the second half, give RSL two different looks at it, two different Galaxy offenses, because they are like night and day, Alex. If you see the team with him without Ricky Puig, they're like completely night and day. And so the fact that the team has been successful with both, eh, we'll see. This is another big test for LA Galaxy. I really hope that they can get on the scoreboard early, and I am predicting a 2-1 win too here. Every time I say that they lose, they've been winning. So this time I'm actually going to predict they're going to win. So let's see. Let's get those Vanny memes ready. Hopefully they get the win.
So what I'm
And
hearing is that Red Iguana is on the line between us again, right?
yes, it is. Yes,
There
it
you go.
is. Because I at some point I will be back to Salt Lake City. My wife loves her best friend, and we're gonna go up there and visit. And yeah, definitely, you will be treating me some good,
Oh, okay.
yummy red iguana
We'll
soon.
see about that. We'll see about that.
All right, Alex. Anything else you want to share with us? Anything else? Yeah, anything else you want to talk about?
No, just I mean, hey, look, it's a top of the table clash, first versus third. It's going to be a super exciting matchup. I'm very excited to be able to see the fans sell out that stadium as they always do. Taking on the Galaxy is going to be a huge test. And yeah, we'll see who earns those bragging rights on Saturday. It's going to be a fun game between two of the top teams in this league at the moment.
Yeah, this is definitely a very high like elite clash between these two teams. We have seen these two teams obviously play each other in some really important matches. The most important being that 2009 MLS Cup, which still gets under my skin, and it's something I never forget. But it's I feel like the league is better when RSL is doing well. It's good to have that kind of competition there, and it pushes LA Galaxy to be better. So I expect them to go out there and play hard. Looking forward to a very exciting match between these two teams, and who knows, maybe we're gonna hear a scream of joy as Fanny, gets that third win and he runs on the field, tears off his shirt, and starts running in circles like Homer Simpson. So we never know. But hey, Alex, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate always having you here and sharing with us. Anybody who has never heard of you, or if you guys want to follow Alex, where can they find you? Where can they find the RSL shows? They can keep up with RSL.
Absolutely, man. Hey, thank you for the invite. As I always have a great time coming on here for News Across the Galaxy. Go, it's right there. You saw it for right there momentarily. At RSL Show is the name of our podcast. You can find me at Napoles Alex on Twitter and Instagram. And then yeah, we're part of the KSL Sports Network, so you can head over and take a look at some of Utah sports news with KSL Sports.
Once again, everyone else, thank you guys so much. Chewy, thank you so much for being on the ones and twos tonight. Look for us again to have another show on Sunday as we're going to try to wrap up a week, hopefully a week where we could say, damn it, we got those 9 points, baby. But for now, I'm saying good night. Everyone, look forward to a wonderful match. If you're traveling out there, please stay safe, have fun, and hey, keep on nagging. And as always, baby, Wu Tang for life. Let's go.